make sure my olive oil is a little hot, so I'm going to bread a couple more before I start putting them in the...
Evenly breaded also, make sure that gets a nice
You see,
coating on it.
they're pretty thin. You don't want a real thick.
And the real
sauce.
tricky, the hardest part about doing this, in all honesty, Peggy, is not eating the eggplant after you fried it. Because there is nothing better than fried eggplant, and my mother will yell at me because when it starts to cook, everybody runs, and then she has no eggplant left to actually make a meal with because we've all eaten it. So that's the tricky part.
So now this is for, what would this serve, 2 people? Or?
Well, for the restaurant as an appetizer,
This is an
we would,
appetizer,
as
but
an
you could do
appetizer
it
in our
as a
store,
meal.
Meal,
main dish.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
we serve it up as an appetizer for 2.
Dropping it on the floor.
Okay.
All right, now. We want this to heat up a little bit more. See, it's starting to bubble, but then we're going to need actually a touch more olive oil. The olive oil is you just want to coat the bottom of the pan. It's not an exact science for how much you actually use.
Okay.
But
Now it's really starting to bubble.
And also, we for time purposes, we have a prepared version that's heating in
So
the
we can-
oven.
once
We
we're
can
done,
see
yeah,
it.
when
we'll see
yeah,
it.
as soon as we assemble it, then we'll show you what it looks like when it's ready to go. This is also really great. I like to do this with my daughter now, even though she's only 2.5. She's, mommy cooking, and she'll stand here and she thinks it's chicken because it looks like chicken cutlets, so she will eat fried eggplant, which it's a vegetable, so that makes me really happy.
So there's a tip for all the parents out there.
There,
If you want
yeah.
to get your kid to eat and all they eat is chicken, eggplant.
And it's not deep
And it's
fried.
good
Olive
for
oil is
you.
good for you,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
So this is fairly simple.
oh, it's
Isn't
very, it's very, very simple. People think it's a very time-consuming thing. When you slice up a whole eggplant, it takes a little while for you to do, but
Okay.
not difficult by any means.
You know, and several variations of the same dish
There
you can
we
do
go,
in
that's what
terms
you
of
wanna
being
see.
a Parmesan, you know, that can be laid out in more of a platter. What we're doing is a stacked version of that too, which is our signature.
Oh, and it all smells wonderful. The
To be a
sauce.
little bit hotter. See,
Now,
that's
everything you do
Brown.
is homemade, made from scratch.
like this.
Yeah.
In the
I
morning,
mean,
Mama
your
will-
sauces and everything.
Oh yes, the great, well, New
And how
York
long
Italian we tend to call red sauce gravy. So
How long do you have to cook that?
about, when the oil is hot like that, about 60 seconds in total, about 30 seconds on
You
one
just
side,
wanna
30 on the
sear
other.
it, in other
You just
words,
want it,
yeah.
I want it a little bit more brown than what it is right there. I kind of flipped that one a little early, but you want it to just be a nice golden brown because it's going to cook on the inside when you pop it in the
Because you
oven.
bake this.
Correct.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Now, we have, is that one ready?
Little bit longer, almost. My olive oil should have been a tad bit hotter. I
Well,
was
this
afraid it
would
was going to
serve
smoke.
2 people, really.
With
Or if
these
it's a-
kind of slices, you could, if you were going to have this as an entree, it's probably enough for one person. If you were going to
Yeah.
get a salad or a
Okay,
soup
you
first, if you wanted to split it as an appetizer, it's
Yeah,
fabulous.
We're starting with a fairly large
Yeah,
eggplant.
that's,
Yeah, this is some of them. Usually in the store, you'll find them most times a
They're not
lot
quite that
smaller.
long, yeah.
Right.
yeah.
It's a good season right now, obviously.
So that, okay, now that is, then when you finish with this, you put sauce on it?
We do. When we finish with this, I'm gonna put it over here and let it sit for a minute, and then we will stack it in a dish and show you how we assemble. It's just some sauce and some cheese, 2 different kinds. I'm gonna make a little regatta blend with this cheese here. I'll show you how I do that with some mozzarella, and we stack it, and it goes right in the oven.
Okay.
This should be done ahead of time. Again, trying to make your
Now,
sauce.
this is not a sauce out of a jar. This is
Nope,
homemade
that's homemade
sauce.
Yes.
And you could have this as
There
a
we go, that's what
vegetarian
you want.
dish if you had a sauce that had no meat in it. This
Correct.
has been made with
Right.
meat.
Correct.
But if you were a vegetarian, it would work for you if you didn't.
And then the whole dish
Yeah.
is vegetarian.
Yeah. I thought,
and,
you know,
easy for a
people
lot of
like to
people.
know those things.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.